Sean O'Malley isn't wasting much time mapping out his comeback. After dropping back-to-back fights to Merab Dvalishvili, including suffering the first submission loss of his career, the former bantamweight champ has already circled the end of 2025 for his return. O'Malley told MMA Junkie that he wants one more fight before the year closes, ideally in November or December. The plan is to sit down with UFC matchmaker Hunter Campbell in the coming weeks to figure out what makes sense for both sides. While he's not fixated on location, O'Malley admitted he'd prefer Las Vegas over New York if he had the choice, pointing out that Sin City has been his fight home. Half of his pro bouts have taken place there. The UFC traditionally runs its annual Madison Square Garden card in November, and with O'Malley's star power, many fans assume he could be tapped for that slot. Still, the 30-year-old doesn't seem especially drawn to the idea, leaving the decision entirely in the UFC's hands. Regardless of venue, having Suga close out the year would give the promotion a boost on either the MSG stage or the final Las Vegas pay-per-view of 2025. At this stage, it's unclear who O'Malley might be paired with. A matchup against another top-5 contender could put him back in the title mix, while a slightly lower-ranked opponent might serve as a rebound fight to regain momentum. Either way, O'Malley remains one of the division's most marketable names, and his eagerness to return ensures that fans won't have to wait long to see him back in action. Sean Brady isn't holding back his frustration after another major opportunity to headline an event slipped through his grasp. The Philadelphia native revealed that he had been twice offered a high-profile fight with Ian Machado Gary, first at UFC 319 in Chicago, and then again as the proposed main event for UFC Vancouver on October 18th. Brady says he accepted both offers without hesitation, but Gary failed to commit. As a result, the promotion scrapped the idea and instead slotted Rainier de Ridder versus Anthony Hernandez as the new headliner for Vancouver. On his Instagram stories, Brady laid out the timeline and vented his irritation. "I said yes immediately. Yes, let's go. I've been wanting to fight since May. These are the only ones I've been offered. I said yes twice. Now I don't know why Ian's dragging his feet or whatever he was doing, and now they put in Rainier and Fluffy. So thanks, Ian. Just lost another main event because of you, my man." The development highlights a growing frustration among fighters in the welterweight division when it comes to Gary's matchmaking choices. Gary's supporters argue that he's carefully managing his career to maximize momentum, but detractors, now including Brady, feel he's dodging difficult stylistic matchups that could derail his rise. For Brady, the missed bout is particularly painful. A string of injuries and delays have slowed his climb up the welterweight ranks, and he has been pushing for a meaningful fight to put him back in the mix for title contention. Losing the Vancouver headliner not only robs him of valuable exposure, but also extends his inactivity during a critical period in his career. As of now, it's unclear if the UFC intends to rebook Brady versus Gary for a later card. The fight would make sense given the tension already brewing between the two, but the promotion may opt to keep Gary moving along his own path, especially if he's eyeing other matchups. For Brady, though, the frustration is obvious. He was ready, healthy, and eager to compete, only to see another main event slip away because of his rival's hesitation. With UFC Vancouver now anchored by de Ridder versus Hernandez, fans are left wondering when, or if, Brady will finally get the type of marquee fight he's been chasing, and whether Gary will eventually be forced to answer the call instead of sidestepping it. Bryan Battle's tenure with the UFC has officially come to a close after a turbulent stretch that saw him struggle repeatedly with the scale. The former Ultimate Fighter 29 winner was booked to face Nursultan Ruziboev in a middleweight bout at UFC 319, but things went sideways before fight night. Despite moving back up 15 pounds from welterweight, Battle still weighed in at 190 pounds, 4 over the non-title middleweight limit. As a result, the fight was scrapped, and UFC officials confirmed just days later that he had been released from the roster, a development first reported by Damon Martin of MMA Fighting. The decision isn't a huge shock. Battle himself had admitted before the event that missing weight again could very well cost him his contract. Speaking candidly on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, The 29-year-old made it clear that while he wanted to stay, he also understood the position the UFC was in. "Regardless, no matter what happens, I know I'm still one of the best on the planet, so I'll be back," Battle said. "If I have to go out, prove myself, and show that I can still do it and still make weight, then that's what I'll do. I don't feel entitled to anything right now, I just have to take things day by day." Battle explained that his weight issues stemmed not from a lack of discipline, but from how his body has started to respond as he's gotten older. Cutting down to a contracted weight class, he said, is no longer something he can push through the same way he once did. "I thought it was going to be a piece of cake," he admitted. "But when you're cutting weight and things go south, once it starts going downhill, it's hard to recover. I think my body just isn't handling it the same anymore." Even with the frustrating ending, Battle leaves the UFC with a resume many fighters would envy. After winning the Ultimate Fighter 29, he compiled a 7-1 record with one no contest inside the octagon. Along the way, he picked up notable wins over Randy Brown, Kevin Jousset, Tresean Gore, and Gabe Green, demonstrating sharp striking and a knack for opportunistic finishes. Though his UFC release marks a setback, Battle has insisted this is far from the end of his career. With his skill set and name recognition, he could quickly resurface in another major promotion, such as the PFL, Bellator, or One Championship, where his style and toughness could translate well. From there, if he can show consistency and professionalism with his weight management, a UFC return down the line wouldn't be out of the question. For now, the focus shifts to recalibrating his training and addressing the physical challenges that derailed his last two fights. If he can get that part of his career sorted, Battle still has the tools to remain a force on the global MMA stage. Paulo Costa has once again taken aim at new UFC middleweight champion Khamzat Chimaev, this time by sharing a bizarre story about the precautions reportedly taken around boars at UFC 319. Fresh off his victory over Roman Kopylov, Costa claims he planned to travel to Chicago for Chimaev's title fight with Dricus du Plessis. According to him, however, the UFC advised against it due to concerns about Chimaev's massive entourage. "We had everything set up to go to Chicago after my fight against Roman Kopylov," Costa said in a recent interview. "We contacted UFC and they said, 'Paulo, it's better you not go there because he might have like 20 many people surround him to protect him from you. So it's better not to go. They said it's a big fight to protect him from you.'" That's what they said. I can't believe that. He brought a whole army. He is the kind of guy who always walks with some guys to protect him too. They said, "It's better you not go there because we don't know where this guy is going to be in the arena, and they can attack you or do something against you, so that's crazy." Costa's version paints Chimaev as a fighter constantly surrounded by heavy security, something the Brazilian clearly sees as a sign of weakness. True or not, the story fits neatly into the long-running rivalry Costa has tried to stoke with Chimaev, even though rankings and recent results suggest Costa isn't next in line for a shot at the belt. With contenders like Rainier de Ridder, Anthony Hernandez, and Nassourdine Imavov already in the mix, Costa may be far down the queue for a title shot. But if he keeps stacking wins while continuing to needle Chimaev publicly, the UFC could eventually decide there's enough animosity to book the grudge match. Belal Muhammad isn't backing down in his pursuit of a clash with Kamaru Usman. The two former champions have had tension brewing for months, with Muhammad regularly calling for the matchup and Usman never shying away from firing back. While nothing has been made official, the rivalry is starting to feel inevitable, given how their careers are currently aligned. Muhammad is coming off a tough loss, dropping his welterweight belt to Jack Della Maddalena in a fight that halted his momentum. Still, he remains one of the most consistent names in the division, and is determined to prove that his setback was temporary. Usman, on the other hand, recently snapped his own skid by outpointing Joaquin Buckley at UFC Atlanta, a victory that re-established him as a top player at 170 pounds. For both men, a head-to-head battle could be the kind of fight that resets their championship trajectories. While it might not guarantee the winner an immediate title shot, it would put them just a step away, especially given the lack of fresh contenders in the division. Speaking during a fan Q&A ahead of UFC 319, Muhammad once again made his stance clear. He insisted that Usman is the only opponent he's focused on, doubling down on his willingness to sign on the dotted line. "Honestly, for me, I'm not even really paying attention to anybody else," he explained. "I'm looking at my next fight, my next opponent. If you guys see Usman around here, make sure you tell him that I'm looking for him." He added that the holdup isn't coming from his side, just waiting for one of these guys to stop talking and sign the contract. "We're looking for Usman. We're ready. I'm ready. I've been ready. I'm healthy. I've been training. I'm ready. I'm hungry." If the fight does come together, it's a compelling stylistic clash. Muhammad's pace, pressure, and relentless cardio have carried him through most of his UFC run, while Usman's championship pedigree, wrestling base, and improved boxing have long made him a nightmare matchup. Both men have plenty to prove. Usman wants to show he still belongs at the top after his recent struggles, and Muhammad is desperate to silence doubters and remind fans why he earned UFC gold in the first place. Aljamain Sterling isn't ready to give up on Aaron Pico, even after the highly touted prospect's rough debut at UFC 319. The former bantamweight champion turned featherweight contender admitted that he was impressed with much of Pico's performance against Lerone Murphy before the brutal finish. 100%, it was just one tactical error, and something he made a similar mistake in Bellator, Sterling told MMA Junkie. "He looked great, he looked like a world beater. There was one point where Lerone caught him with one clean shot, where it looked like he shot because he got hurt. I'm curious to see if he's chinny." Murphy's elbow that sealed the fight would have put plenty of athletes down, but Sterling's concern is whether Pico can withstand the big moments that inevitably come against the UFC's elite. That elbow would have knocked anyone out, but does he have the chin to go with his fight style? He's so aggressive. If he lands first, that's the fight. If other guys catch him, I don't know, but I think he can still make some noise in the division. Sterling pointed to other examples of fighters who rebounded from early setbacks, citing Patricio Pitbull Freire, who dropped his Bellator debut before becoming one of the promotion's greatest champions. For Sterling, Pico's talent is undeniable. His blend of wrestling, athleticism, and explosive offense can still carry him far. The key will be whether his chin holds up as the competition stiffens. As for Sterling himself, he has little time to dwell on Pico's path. He's preparing for a high-stakes showdown with Brian Ortega in the co-main event of UFC Shanghai this Saturday. Sterling views the matchup as a springboard back into title contention. "Right now, I think he's ranked number 4. I think I'm 7th or 8th. So I think this is a big win for me to possibly get back into the top 5. If I can do that, things are going to be looking pretty good for me to getting a title shot opportunity." With the featherweight division heating up, names like Lerone Murphy, Movsar Evloev, Jean Silva, and Diego Lopez all surging, Sterling knows a victory over Ortega could set him up for a direct path toward UFC gold.